Hey
Okay.
guys, I'm super busy. Sometimes I just feel like I could use a little extra help.
Well, would you like someone to help you?
Yes, that's what I just said.
Okay. How about draw CAD details for you?
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
please.
How
I
about
don't use CAD.
how about yeah, how about create BIM objects for you?
Even better, as long as they don't do what we're about to talk about in this episode.
Oh. How about writing specs for you?
Oh,
I
please write my specs.
Yeah. How about if this quote unquote air quotes, we've talked about air quotes before,
Podcasting air
could
quotes.
podcasting air quotes could do all of this work for free?
Man, I need an
Wait,
assistant. Yes.
free?
Absolutely.
What's
Free.
the catch?
And well, there is no catch, but this person who will work for free is named RCAT. RCAT is the answer, and they've already done all of this work for you. Isn't that
That's
cool?
a funny name for a person.
It is. It is, but that's the way it goes.
I think we need to
But
make a little mascot for our cat, like a little cat. Meow.
oh, I like that.
Maybe a
I
listener
like
could
that.
jump in here.
There we go. I know somebody who can sketch really well, but never shares much about what he sketches, though. Maybe that person can do something. Well, hey, how about if this person, RCAT, you can search their libraries for CAD, BIM, specs, catalogs, videos, and more. And all of this content is created for you free of charge. We mentioned that already,
Oh,
and
that
no
free.
registration required. How cool is that?
Love it.
Don't you need something like that, Cormac?
I, every day of my life.
Well, hey, I got it. RCAT, just stop registering on sites for content. Come to our friend RCAT, and then you can find everything you need. I think that's pretty cool, don't you?
That sounds like a simple thing to do.
Well, hey,
Why
guess
haven't you,
what?
why haven't you done that before? You should be doing that every day.
We talk about it on every episode.
That's right.
It's and you should know this by now. But get this, guys. So our friend RCAT, they have created a website. How cool! No, and no blinking, flashing things. It's not
What is this
1990s anymore.
website you say of?
That's right. It is devoted to us, the building professional, to find building product information fast and hassle free. Don't you want that? You want that,
Thanks,
right?
our cat.
That's right. Thank you very much, RCAT. So make sure you check them out today at arcat.com.
Say that again.
That's ART. No, it's ARC. The meow screwed me up. The ARCAT.com. Our friends at RCAT, go check them out and thank them for sponsoring this episode of Archispeak.
I know that our cat, at least I think, stands for like architectural catalog, but could it just be augmented reality cat?
Oh,
The AR cat.
the AR cat. I like that.
I think that we've got a new idea for Bill to go build an app for over there at Arcat.
Is it wrong for me to say that every time I see our cat, though, I always think of a really cold little kitten, little Arctic cat?
We need a sketch for that, Cormac.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll come up with one.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Arcat. This episode is also sponsored by BQE Software and their new product, Core.
Core. What is core? Is that like working on your abs? I mean, what's core?
Core revolutionizes the way architects manage projects, time and expenses, billing and accounting, all of those things. It's project accounting software that's actually fun to use.
And it's made by BQE, the company behind ArchiOffice, so you know it's going to help you manage your office more effectively and efficiently. Core saves you time while giving you the visibility, flexibility, and power you need to grow your firm. You can use Core to work from anywhere, seamlessly collaborate, and gain transformative insights with Core's groundbreaking platform.
Now, who wouldn't want that?
Want to learn more? Of course you do. Find out more about BQE Core and get a free trial at bqe.com/core. That's COR. And it's not working on abs, so, it just helps you out with your day-to-day.
This ad does not help your abs. This episode is also sponsored by HMC Architects. Let's hear what they've got to say this week.
Imagine a world where you can explore buildings around the globe, including ones that don't yet exist. A world where you can walk the edges of an under-construction high school in Los Angeles, then toggle over to the emergency department of a new hospital in China. Hi, I'm Chris Grant, Creative Director at HMC Architects. We're using virtual reality as a design tool that allows us to explore architecture in an immersive way from within. From this vantage point, we can experience a project as if it was built years in advance, improving collaboration and appreciating the full scale of architecture. In VR, our clients can step inside their project and feel as though they can sit on furniture or reach out and grab a handrail. This allows them to react to design decisions as if they were there, driving new questions and decision-making opportunities from within the virtual space. At HMC Architects, we believe that operating as a tech company will not only benefit our clients, but also shape our world and enrich people's lives. To learn more or become part of our story, visit hmcarchitects.com.
Welcome to Archispeak, the podcast that talks about what it's like to work in the profession of architecture.
Welcome to episode 125 of the Archispeak podcast. I'm Neil Pan.
I'm Evan Troxel.
And I'm Cormac Phelan.
So Cormac, in this episode, you're not feeling too good, right? What you want to explain? Maybe what's wrong?
I'm not feeling too good in any episode, but
well, what especially about tonight?
What did Autodesk do to you?
So I got a virus. No, so
it's called Revit.
Yeah, as everybody can tell, I'm feeling a little under the weather. There's been a bug going around the office, which I thought at one point in time I escaped. It went around the house. All the kids are now back to school, so don't want to start keeping your kids home from school so early in the school year. So they send their kids to school and get sick and bring it home and all that other stuff, and thought I was free of that. But then it went around the office, and of course I caught it. But what you guys were alluding to is something else that was caught.
Yeah, this is a physical manifestation of this other thing.
Yes. So Revit, I had a, what was I calling it? Revitastic day. So here we are. My current project. We were on the 15th marching towards a 100% DD submission, and it's an important submission. I mean, everybody knows that these are kind of important. Sometimes we kind of write them off because they're only DD, right? But this particular one, because we are getting ready to do some interesting things with this particular project. We're looking to do off of the DD set, get some input from our CM for design assist type deliveries. So we're going to have some subs start taking a look at things like our precast panels, our early steel packages, and things like that. So it's a pretty important delivery on this particular one because we're trying to cram as much information as possible on this DD set for the CM to go out and bid it out, or not bid it out, in the sense of like a early GMP or anything like that, but just bid it out to start the process of the design assist. Anyway, what could go wrong?
Everything,
and that's exactly what happened. So. First thing that happened is we get this email in our office that says, hey, everybody has to change to the latest AutoCAD Revit 2017 update. So,
that should go really smoothly then.
Yeah, of course, because everybody knows that everybody is on the same build. We make damn sure that when we start a project that every consultant's on the same build as we are, to make sure that there is no issues that we have, right? Well, of course, we went ahead and we did the update. But the problem is that when we did the update, not everybody updated at the same time. I don't know if any of you guys have ever run into this, or any of the listeners out there have ever run into this, where you continue to work on a project where one person is on one build, one person is on another, and then you start to get the error message of you can't access the central model. Then the central model goes from you can't access it to the central. In our particular case, we started to get the good old unrecognizable error, which I which I jokingly said, "Hey, that was my dad's nickname for me when I was a kid." But I had to make light of it because
it sucks.
Inside, I was just burning because here we are, we're literally rushing to the end. We had 2 weeks to go at the first time this occurred. And so what happens is this unrecognizable error then turns into a fatal crash. And then the entire central model was corrupt. So then we started...
All right. Yeah. Wait a minute. One of the most basic rules, now we're all Apple users here, and Apple just came out with the new OS for their phones, their computers, Macs, everything. The most basic rule is never update in the middle of a project.
Well,
finish
absolutely.
the project first, then do all your updates.
And actually, I made that statement, and they're like, "Well, this is a suggested error or a suggested update from AutoCAD, and we really need to make sure that we do it." And there are valid reasons for all of this, but the problem was, honestly, that when we started to do all of these updates, we were out, we were in Durham at our clients' meetings and stuff like that, and it happened to be that the project we were working on, we were remoting in. One person thankfully had a detached central model on his desktop. And then, there was other people back at the office working on it. Well, okay. So as we're going through all of this, we're trying to, and I'm sure there's somebody out there right now saying, "Well, this was what your problem was, idiot." Or this was,
Well, good. Let them write in and tell us.
Yeah,
then.
Please, because honestly, I don't want it to happen again.
Well, you guys kind of found out what the culprit was, but it seems like you went down the wrong path.
No, that wasn't that wasn't this time. This time, the first time, what we think it was that because we had several different people working on it. We had our consultants that were on the old build. We had a couple of people who were trying to synchronize remotely into the new central model that was upgraded. And so it just went on and on and on. And there was just a lot of different things that seemed to have manifested in this particular central model that every time we tried to open or restore other backups that we had, they would get corrupted as well. Well, it ended up that ultimately at the end of the day, we couldn't find anyone that worked. So we used this one guy's detached central model that he had on his desktop, which was great for some things, but it was 3 days old. So everybody who was back...
How many people were working on this?
7.
So 3 days times 7 people at 8 hours a day.
Probably more than that at the deadline.
Well, yeah, but I'm just
or maybe,
throwing out some basic numbers here. But wow, that's a lot of work to lose.
And my entire cartoon set that I had, so I went through, when I cartoon a set out, as we all do, I went through and I set up all the sheets. But then I marched through and set up all of the sections. Then I set up all the call-outs. And so I'm dropping them on the sheets where they make logical sense of exactly where, I want to flip and read them and all that other stuff. So even though they were just raw cutouts, or raw callouts or raw sections or enlarged details or whatever, they were all there on the sheet for us to basically go through and start, cleaning them up and getting them ready for the DD set. Lost all of that, and that was just my work. And then we lost everybody else's who was actually doing like real work, like modeling things, and then we were doing like real time changes on the model that we were remoting into while we were, sitting in front of the client. Lost all of that. Thankfully, I was making notes on a paper copy, and other people were making notes on paper copies for us to be able to save all of that work, or we would have lost all that too, and probably wouldn't have had documentation for it. So that was fine. Here we are. We lose those 3 days, but not only did we lose three days, but we also lost 2 days of 3 days of work that we had already done. And we lost 2 days where nobody was in the model, and we were just trying to recover it. So there's 5 full days of no production lost on a project that we were, trying to chug ahead to get it all done. And then, so we lost that. Fine, start working. The 14th of September rolls around, and, here it is, due midday on the 15th. And what happens? Corruption again.
Unrecognizable error?
Unrecognizable error.
Oh my God. Wow.
And so that time, we're everybody's scratching their head. What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Well, come to find out that I talked to you guys about this over text and everything, that there was some family that was imported in from the manufacturer had bad models or bad families, and it corrupted the model again, and we lost a little bit more time. But thankfully, we were at a stage. Well, actually, what was bad is at the time we didn't know what it was, and here we are. More people were working on it. This was that throw everybody that you can to try to just go through everything, make sure everything's squared away. And then what do? We open up a model. It goes corrupt. We open a model. It's telling us that one's bad. We went back 2 weeks. Couldn't find a single model that we could open up and use. And of course, 2 weeks would have been devastating to roll back basically back to where we were before we were corrupt the first time. But thankfully, we've got some top-notch people. I'm going to give a shout out to Alex, who just was like a detective. He was the Sherlock Holmes of this thing. Dude stayed up and just read all of the different blogs of all the different people who, thankfully, there's a very active Revit user group out there that they post all sorts of errors and how they had solved the problem. And so thankfully, he went through and he started to look at things. Of course, it was the last thing that he did was, go through and audit all of your families. He audited all of his family, all of the families, found out that there was a bad credenza. Seriously, a bad credenza.
Yeah.
It was,
Wow.
So there's a lot of late nights pulled by the team. That was like absolutely amazing what we've pulled together. The building's looking great. The interiors are looking great. I mean, we had a good pin-up today. Everybody in our office is liking the direction everything's going. Things are going well, but everything on the surface looks great. It's all of that underlayer of everything that just went like corrupt and unrecognizable.
What a comedy of errors.
It was seriously, it was just a pain.
Yeah. So what, like, as quick as you can, what did you guys learn from this that you're not going to do again, or that you're going to change, or what came out of this?
Well, actually, the good thing is that we've got a lot of really good Revit people in our office that They went through and they kind of took a look at it because we were getting some errors yesterday. Now that we moved into CDs, we were getting some errors very sluggishly. Anytime you'd click on something, it would say unable to access central model, and nobody was doing anything in it. Come to find out that one of the things when whoever had set the model up in the first place, it's suggested by Autodesk to make all of your large imported files, like say if we're bringing in structural model or whatever else, rather than just to link them in, put each of them on their own individual work set.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we had done, to make it a little bit more manageable. You're able to toggle the work sets on and off and stuff. And thinking about the way that we used to do Layer Manager back in the CAD days and stuff like that, you're like, oh, of course, that makes sense.
Yep.
Don't know why we didn't do it, but that makes sense. So, thankfully, we're right at point where we're just getting into CDs, so we can take a deep breath, audit the model, and then set it up a little bit better. So really, it's just manage it well. The two things that we now do when we get a new model from a consultant, before we ever put it in our model, I close out of the central model, and then I open that model up in my build of Revit. I audit it, make sure it's all squared away. And again, people are probably thinking, well, you should be doing this anyway. Well, we're not. Damn you.
And now you are.
And now we are.
Yeah.
These are really important things to know.
It really
these
felt
are really
like
important things to know and learn, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is.
You're forced to learn.
And you're forced to learn it, and unfortunately, we were learning it at the wrong times. At the most critical times, when every time you have a submittal, and of course here I'm like, you know what? You wouldn't get a corruption in AutoCAD. It's like 2D, you're just drawing a line. That's it. That's all you see.
Well, there's something to be said about 7 people working in one file, and it's pretty. I mean, just to step back and think about that from a technological standpoint, it's pretty freaking amazing that more doesn't go wrong with the amount of data that's in the one model, with so many people accessing it and all the synchronization, and it's pretty nuts to think about that. And I think that's something that people who aren't using software in that way, or students who don't have to because they're just working on their own project and Rhino or Revit or whatever, it's a whole different ballgame when you've got that many people and accessing a model and then merging all the different teams together, all the different models, and managing all that process and the information and the warnings and the errors. And there's so many things going on there that it's amazing that these projects survive it all.
How did architecture get so damn complicated?
Yeah.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I mean, think about it. Yeah, everything that Evan just rattled off sounds complicated, but in a way, it's made it a little bit easier, because now you're actually, the one good thing is that you're actually able to see in real time what somebody else is doing and what changes they're making, what upgrades, what development of details and things like that they're doing that affects your work, so that you can actually see it all at the same time, and it all rolls together, and you can say, oh, you put in a bulkhead here, okay, well, what does that mean to what I'm working on? And those kind of things. And it just, when we were working on individual sheets, or even in CAD when you were doing
You're
that,
just chasing your tail then.
Yeah, you never got to see what it was, or you had much smaller teams.
Coordination was way harder.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big project, so you need more than just 1 or 2 people to work on it. And so the good thing is I had the fortune of we're kind of just in transition where some people are coming off of a project that's wrapping up and get ready to have another project ramp up. Thankfully, they had a couple of lull periods where they could jump in and help me out, which was great, until we lose all of their work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, and then there's a whole backup and, what do you do overnight with these models so that you have one to go back to if something goes wrong. And or are you relying on someone's detached model on their desktop that just happens to, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story about Toy Story. I think it was Toy Story 2. Because I just recently read Creativity Inc., Ed Catmull's book, and he's the president of Pixar, and that the entire film was considered lost, and somebody had one that was a few days old on their home computer because she was working at home, and she just had to review it at home because she didn't have time to do it at the office. She had a busy life, so somehow they pulled it back together. And then I think what was funny was once they even restored it, I was reading up on Quora online, and somebody said what's weird was they went through this whole process. They restored the film from somebody's home computer, and they just used it as is. And then a few weeks later, they scrapped that whole film and started over anyway with a whole new story.
Oh, wow.
But what a nightmare to go through. And I think it's true to say that you only learn these lessons when there's this epic shit that happens, right?
Yeah, some catastrophic failure that happens.
Revitosis.
Yeah.
So I always told my students, and I'm sure I've said this on here before, but the printer runs out of ink when the project's due, and and that's when the computer crashes, and that's when you can't get on the internet, and that's when blah blah blah. I mean, that's when Cormac, your hard drive fills up and fails, right? I mean, we've had this happen
when we're ready to record,
right when it's time to record,
For those of you who are wondering a little bit more, taking a peek into the kitchen, when we last one, I kept Skype kept booting me off because I didn't realize that my hard drive was full, and so we were texting back and forth, and they're like, delete stuff off your computer, and so I'm furiously deleting things.
Delete more.
Exactly. Connect and then disconnect, connect then disconnect, and stuff like that. So it was pretty funny.
But that's totally when things go wrong is
totally,
in the moment where you need it the most, and it's that's exactly what's happening here. The DD submittal is due, and the Revit model shits the bed, right? So.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, so now you're sick, and because of Revit. So.
It was just poor handling of myself.
Well, it's all that stress, and it's all of the germs going around, and all the people. And what's really crazy to me about that whole scenario is it really shows how dedicated people are, right, to solve the problem and to get in there and roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, figure that crap out, and read and try and it's pretty awesome. I mean, that you guys would still be looking for the answer if you didn't have people so dedicated to get in there and dig out the final solution.
I'll tell you another little funny story. So after Alex finds this problem, is able to restore the model. It was a little bit older model, but fine. That's fine. It was just a few hours old. It wasn't a week old or 2 weeks old like we were fearing. So, everybody still had work to do to finish up, the last little touches. It's not done until you click print. So I logged on at 3 a.m. from my house to start working on some stuff that I needed to work on. And right as I was logging on, another one of the team members, she was logging off. And so it was like a call center. I mean, we were 24/7 on that thing.
Yeah. Emergency triage. Yeah.
Oh, totally. I mean, so everybody was just putting in all the hours, and surprising that everybody isn't just sick as a dog on this thing. But it's just kind of the nature of the beast. Of sometimes that's what we do in architecture, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we plan these things. It's not like we wanted to do all this extra effort and time and stuff, but sometimes things happen.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about this thing that it's funny. It's happened to me today, but I was thinking about this topic. It's come up in a couple other books that I've read this year, and it's just the idea of flow. And I've heard people around the office mention it. Some friends of mine who, we go rock climbing together. And it's like this idea of you guys know it from sports, right? It's like the zone, when you're in the zone. And I thought it was an interesting topic because it happens in creative endeavors, but I think it happens in a lot of things that we could relate to, or we've seen people perform this way. And I think this kind of happens in these in these kinds of incidents. Like even today, I was feeling this because I was under like immense pressure to get our proposal for our AIA talk in by 6:00, and it was like 5:45. And it's like it's pretty amazing what you can accomplish when you're in the zone, right? And so that to me, I think, is what's so interesting, is if we can learn to kind of harness that and make it happen when we need it, because it's a pretty trippy, kind of hypnotic state that you go into when you are just going through this sense of flow. I mean, you're just doing things. It's like when you drive to work and you don't know how you got there, right? Like that happens, right? And it's because your subconscious is taking care of so much, and it's because you have so much expertise in the thing that you're doing that allows you to get into that state. I mean, it has to be. I was doing a little bit more research into this, and it has to be a thing where you are. It's like 2 notches above your level, but it's not so hard or so easy that you're either not you're not going to be able to do it, like quit out of frustration. But if it's too easy, like you just won't get into that state of flow. And so I think that's kind of an interesting thing because we've all seen it, and hopefully we've all felt it, but. It's just, I was actually watching this mountain biking video the other day, and this is what kind of brought it up into the forefront of my mind. Was I was watching this like recap of the downhill season on Red Bull, and they just started out this video with this quote, and I thought, I didn't know where they were going with it, but as soon as they started speaking these words, I knew what they were talking about. So here's what they said. They said, "It's a destination that everyone is looking for. You find it at the crossroads of challenge and skill. Focus produces clarity. Clarity leads to the zone. And the paradox of flow is that it only exists in the now, and you only know you were here once it's gone." And so I think that what's super interesting about that is this is, a lot of people meditate to find this state of nowness, right? You're in the moment. And it happens in creativity. It happens in sports. It happens, you watch Jimi Hendrix play guitar. I mean, he was like always in the zone, right? It's those kinds of events where you notice that it happens. And I just wanted to kind of, I imagine for you, Neil, it's like when you're running, you kind of get into this state where you can't even explain what's going on, but you're just performing, Do you guys relate to that at all?
I think you're right about the running part. I just went out this past weekend and did 16 miles just by myself because I couldn't do it with the group on our regular time. And if you were to ask me what I did, what happened, beyond maybe what I saw, I almost couldn't tell you, right? Because I'm just going, and I just keep going, and
you've trained so much, and you've done the running, right? So much, you don't even have to think about it, and you're performing, and you're. It's not like you're running slower or you're running fast. You're just running just right. Your body is just doing the thing that it knows how to do because it's done it so much, and you get this. They call it a highly focused mental state. And what I think is so interesting about that is like you come out of it at the other side, and you're like, you only knew you were in it once it's over.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's also true sometimes when maybe designing or just drafting or working on a project or even just replying to clients' emails and things, just writing out what needs to be said in just such a way that works.
Yeah. Yep.
And you don't know how you did it, but when you finish and you read it and you went, "Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. How did I do that?" Yeah. I don't know.
And I think what's interesting is it's really an enjoyable thing, even though you're working pretty hard, So it's not like you can only say that you can enjoy things that are fun or play, right? But like you can do some serious work and really feel satisfied by doing it when you're in the zone. I mean, I really am coming at this from a design angle. Like when I am being the most creative, once my subconscious is kind of cranked on something so much that I'm ready to spit it out, and I physically don't even know when that's going to happen, but when it happens, it's an amazing thing, and I want to learn how to harness that more and have it happen more often.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to meditate in the morning before you go to work.
Yeah.
You need to get some headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's interesting. I don't know if this is flow or not. It could be. It sounds like it might have been. But prior to all the catastrophe that happened, we've been cranking on getting this done. I mean, I took over this project from another guy who had moved his family cross country, but he left me quite a project. It was in a good state, and it needed to keep on keeping on. And
inheritance
plus,
is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, and plus I needed to get into the project that I knew nothing about and make sure that the project didn't miss a beat. Just keep on moving through. Because I've been in this position many and many times, I completely immersed myself in this entire project, trying to figure out the university standards, making sure, learning all of the people who are on the project, what their roles are, what their scopes are, everything. And so I'd been more or less kind of in this zone for about a month. And as we were cranking through and before we got to, kind of a first deliverable, normally we, bunch of guys in the office, just go and grab lunch actually at the Under Armour cafeteria. It's just a time to at least get out of the office and somewhat decompress, but I hadn't been going with them because I've just been sitting at my desk kind of going and going and going. And literally, like, at the end of all of this, like a month later, they're like, dude, you've been completely just workaholic. And it wasn't necessarily that. I was so, in the zone.
Yeah. It's like intense focus. Right?
And here's the thing is that I got so much work accomplished, but I can't remember a damn thing I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just things were getting done. I was, doing what I needed to do, and everything was moving forward. And I mean, I couldn't tell if I was coming or going, but I was doing.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you probably experienced it whenever you do have like the catastrophe that you were talking about earlier, when you have to redo work.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much faster does it go that second time that you have to do it compared to the first time? Like the first time it's a struggle, right? The second time it's not that you even do it in halftime. It's like you do it in quarter time. I mean, it's so much faster because you've already done it. And I guess that's where that kind of that expertise comes into play. And then you just crank it out. Like you're not even doing a discovery process or a creative process. Like you're redoing work. Everybody's lost a term paper or has lost a drawing that they had to redraw. And you do it again, and it's so much faster because you know exactly what you need to execute on.
And sometimes it's so much better because the second time you're rethinking a little bit more. It's like, okay, I've done this, and I know what I did, but was that right?
Yeah.
And so you focus a little bit, and you're like, okay, well, here's what I did. Here's what I can do better on it. And it kind of gives you somewhat of a second chance to be able to get, that second pair of eyes on it. And even though it's your own eyes, you're still looking at it a little bit differently. And you're like, okay, I could have done this a little bit better. Or maybe this door should have been pushed over here rather than there. And, oh yeah, doesn't this look right? And, sometimes they're like, oh my God, you're making more changes and stuff. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, though, those changes hopefully are going to make a better user experience.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a second draft on a paper you write.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Right.
a lot of times you could completely throw that first draft away, not even edit it, and write a second one that's 10 times better.
Yeah, real time editing,
Yeah.
Not the way you want to do it, though.
Well, maybe it just
crash.
depends. I mean, I think it depends how good and how much you can trust this mental state that you get into. I think if it's something that you can depend on because you've kind of cultivated it, And that's kind of what I'm interested in, I guess, is how do we create our environments that we work in to make this happen, and make it something that increases productivity and satisfaction at work. I mean, how do you, because it definitely benefits the place
hopefully
you work
not through
at
panic
when it happens. No, yeah, right. You, not through viruses and hacking, but it's like, how it seems interesting to me as a space maker and designer that we actually could have an effect on this, and especially working in architecture offices that specialize in this kind of thing, and recognizing this as a psychological reality that is, there's at least 30 years of science and study in this, that not, I wish more people knew about it, but it's one of these things where I feel like we really could affect this and reap the benefits from it. And so how could we, and there's just some esoteric thoughts, but it's like, how do we actually take advantage of these states and help people get into them so that it happens more often? Instead, it's like, how many hours a day do people in any industry out there really work? They're at work for 8 hours, but how much work does the company actually get out of those people? It's not 8 hours, right? But no. We know that if you are in this state of flow, like I felt today, like I felt like I did 4 or 5 hours of work in 2 hours at the very end of the day. And one thing that's interesting to me about this whole thing is,
how did you bill that time?
No, that's not the most interesting part. I think that what's interesting is if we kind of track it about ourselves and track why it was that, like try to actually analyze it, figure out, like, where were you sitting when it happened? What were you doing when it happened? Who were you with? Were you alone? Were you with other people? Were you with specific people? Like, and then try to just look at these things throughout time. So like at the end of the day, like do a little journal, like, okay, what were the tasks I did today? Now, which ones was I really feeling flow in, if any, right? Some days it's none, but it's like, okay, then look at it. Where was I? Who was I with? What was I doing? All of those kind of normal things. You could actually probably start to find patterns in it. And I went through an exercise for about 3 weeks where I tried to notice that, and some very distinct themes came out of it. It's definitely like the task-based stuff. I found myself, like, when I was working in my garage, like making something with my hands, I was in that state of flow. And so it's important, I think, to recognize those things, so that, like, those are the times when you're feeling the happiest, when you get through with it and you're just like, man, that was awesome. I want to feel that again because I accomplished a lot. It made me happy. The outcome was amazing. All these things that, like, that's where you find meaning in what you're doing. And so I feel like if we could actually look at that stuff and look at it on a big, everybody who works in our offices or studios, and just try to figure out what those things are for people, we could totally boost the productivity levels in our office and do some amazing work.
So how do you think you go about, I mean, you were doing kind of like this, quantitative analysis, right?
Yeah.
You were trying to figure out what contributed to this flow by just looking at your patterns and stuff. I mean, how would you like suggest to say me, doing the same thing of just like sitting back and analyzing?
So it's not too hard.
Teach me.
Yeah. So I think I was reading a book called Designing Your Life, and it's a book that originally started out as a class at Stanford, and it's interesting because it's like, how do you actually figure out what you want to do with your life, no matter where you're at right now, no matter how old you are.
Still trying to figure it out.
Right? And so it's like, I'll always be trying to figure this out because it's never too late to do anything. And I always want to do something. Like I want to do more. I want to experience as much as I can. You only get to live once. So it's like, here's the plan. Here's what you do. You need to do this for about 3 weeks at a minimum. I would say you probably could squeak by with 2 weeks, but it would be better if you had at least 3 weeks. And every day after work, and you should only really do this, I think, with work stuff, unless you want to really like take your weekends stuff into account. But that's not what you do every day. So look at what you're doing every day, write it down. Okay, just go chronologically through the day. Here's what I did, all these things. And then measure like 3 different things. It's flow, energy, and engagement. So flow is probably going to be like the least hit rate on the whole page, right? Because it doesn't happen that often, most likely. But if it does, awesome. And then energy levels, like, okay, when you did this task, how did you feel? Were you into it? As far as high energy, low energy, middle of the road energy, and then engagement. Were you really into it? Were you really paying attention, or were you just on autopilot, or were you not interested at all? And so you start to kind of look at these gauges, I guess, for each task that you did. And then it's just easy to like circle a few and say, yep, this one, this one, this one. These were the things I got out of today. Do that for a week. And at the end of the week, just kind of go back and write up a summary. Here's how I felt. Because if you wait too long to do this, you won't remember all this stuff. And the only way that you're actually going to be able to track it is to do this kind of daily, just do it for 5 days and then do a summary. And then do it for 5 days and then do another summary. And then do it for 5 days and do a third summary. And then just look at all your summaries and look for themes. And that's when you really start to identify what the things are that you're doing in your normal day-to-day stuff that you should pursue and try to make happen more often. You'll really find out where your strengths are. And I think what's really something that I learned in the past few years was that you should play to your strengths and not try to bolster your weaknesses. Because there's plenty of other people who are amazing at your weaknesses, and they should be able to do that stuff. And so if you're really playing to your strengths and really telling people, here's what I'm good at, there's going to be plenty of other people to round out that picture. And you're going to make that an amazing team. And so you start to build teams based on what people are good at, and you guys are going to be an A team.
I'm kind of glad that you brought it home to that, because you could have, we were looking at it, or as I was listening to it, I was like, okay, so this is good for self-awareness, but how does that maybe translate to the office environment and making like your project teams better and stuff like that. And I like that summary of being able to kind of like look at what everybody's strengths are.
Yeah.
And and then
I think
you'll just naturally find somebody will have a strength that complements your weakness and be able to kind of like pick up that weakness. And so rather than, you're right, rather than everybody just kind of saying, well, what can I do to make my weakness better?
Everybody's struggling
Why don't you play to your strength?
And hating it,
exactly.
right? Yeah. It's like taking that class that you hate and you just have to show up. It's terrible, right? When all you really want to do is that class that you really love. I mean, it's totally what it is. And so I learned that from Strengths Finders. It's one of these books that you just kind of go through and you take a test, and it's online, and it kind of tells you answer a bunch of questions, and it tells you what your strengths are. And what's interesting about, and this is other level stuff, I mean, normally teams are built upon who's available, right?
Right, absolutely.
And that is not the right way to build a team. And I'm not saying it's easy to do it this way, because it's not. Most people don't do it, but there are companies who are building teams based on people's strengths. And those teams are kicking butt, right? Because they fill in the gaps that the other people have naturally, normally. Not everybody's awesome at everything. Sorry, that's a lie that everybody's been telling themselves, is that I need to be the everything. I need to do it all.
Exactly.
And so like those teams are just gonna be kicking everybody else's butt because they're designed to excel in that way. It's interesting to kind of step back and think about this whole thing that we do. It's a creative, it's a management, it's a leadership, you got a lot of work to do to hit these deadlines. How can you do it so that you're firing on all cylinders,
And that one person doesn't think that they have to do everything or all of that other stuff.
Be the savior. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. Well, I mean, it's an interesting topic, so. Thanks for playing along there.
No, I loved it. In fact, now I'm trying to. Now I'm playing, project manager, and like, okay, so how do I do this? And so
yeah,
I think I'm gonna click on some of those links that we're gonna have in our show notes.
Yeah, I think it definitely takes some kind of like analytical, like psychological. You got to watch people. You got to ask a lot of questions. I mean, if you really, there's the whole like self analytics that you can do here.
Right.
But you really need to start watching the people on your teams and talking to them and getting to know them and asking them, and then doing everything you can to create a space that allows flow to happen and allows them to play to their strengths. And so if people work better at certain times of the day on certain topics with certain people, like do everything you can to make that happen. I mean, those are really, if you break it down, it's pretty simple. And
think about how, go ahead.
But you've got to like understand people, because if you never talk to them and you never find this stuff out, you're just going to continue to do things the way you do them, and who knows what people are thinking.
Yeah, but I mean, think about how if everybody's kind of working towards their strengths and everybody's got a complementary strength to someone's weakness, and so everybody is playing to their strengths, they're actually going to enjoy the project far more.
Oh, they're going to want to come to work.
Yeah, they're going to be doing things that they actually want to do.
And I'll just finish by saying that when you experience those during the day, you go home energized. You do not go home drained, and that's a huge quality of life increase. If you can go home to your family or to your friends and just be like a happy person who loves what they do, that is a game changer, right? I mean, if you're excited to go to work the next day because you get to do the stuff that you're really good at or very interested in, that's a game changer. I mean, that's the kind of thing we should all be shooting for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, do it. So challenge everybody. Get out there and do it. Get in the zone. Sounds like some kind of like electronics retailer commercial. Get in the zone.
Right.
I'm sure there's a commercial out there somebody's going to send us.
Find a YouTube
video. There is. It's Get in the Zone AutoZone.
The AutoZone.
Yeah. Hey, they're not paying for this episode.
That's right. Not sponsored by AutoZone.
Well, actually, speaking of our sponsors, we should mention them before we go, right?
All right. Sounds good.
Sure.
All right. Well, first up, we have ARCAT. Check out all the features they offer at arcat.com. We're also sponsored by Core, powered by BQE. Core revolutionizes the way architects manage projects, time and expenses, billing, and accounting. Don't you all want that? Core saves you time while giving you the visibility, flexibility, and power you need to grow your firm. Learn more and get a free trial at bqe.com/core.
Get in the BQE zone.
That's right. Get into the BQE zone.
That's right.
The core zone.
The core zone.
That's it. The core zone, yes. And also, thanks to HMC Architects for their support. Get into the HMC zone. That's where you were at, right?
That's where I live. Yeah.
That's where you live. That's right. So to learn more or become part of their story with Evan, visit hmcarchitects.com. And do you want more Archispeak? Of course you do. Visit archispeakpodcast.com, where you'll find links to our catalog of episodes. And while there, make sure to sign up for our newsletter. By doing so, you'll be notified when an episode goes live, and it will include links, like all the books we mentioned tonight, to everything we mentioned in the show's episode. And to stay in contact between episodes, check out our Facebook page or hit us up on Twitter. You can find links to all of those things and all those different accounts at archispeakpodcast.com. And remember to tell a friend and stay subscribed. And thanks for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a Revit-tastic day.
In the zone.
I joined the choir to sing. They're all competing for some other thing. I joined the choir to sing. I joined the choir to sing. join the choir